Hey there, it's me, just sitting here, thinking about a story that's been stuck in my head like a song you can't shake. Picture this. Ellen Carter, 58 years old, standing outside St. Mary's Hospital in the pouring rain, her wrist in a cast, her coat soaked through, no place to go. She's clutching a plastic bag with her discharge papers, looking like the world just forgot her. And in a way, it did. Her own kids, the ones she raised with every ounce of her heart, they turned their backs on her, left her out in the cold like she was nothing. But here's the kicker. Ellen's got a secret she doesn't even know yet, a $150 million inheritance waiting in the wings, and it's about to flip her world upside down. Let me take you back. Ellen wasn't always like this, standing on street corners, counting pennies for a motel room. She was a single mom in Portland, Oregon, raising 3 kids, Ben, Clara, and Natty, on her own. She worked double shifts at Rosewood Care, a nursing home, scrubbing floors, feeding patients, smiling through the exhaustion. She sold her mom's old wedding ring to pay for Ben's college books, skipped meals so Clara could have new shoes for track, and poured every cent of her savings into Nate's music lessons. She gave them everything, you know? But life doesn't always play fair. Rosewood shut down after some shady manager funneled funds into his own pocket, and Ellen lost her job. Then came the eviction notice, the car breaking down, the slow slide into homelessness, first motels, then her beat-up Honda, then shelters when she had no other choice. She called her kids, voice shaking, asking for help. Ben said he was too swamped with his tech startup. Clara claimed her apartment was too small. Nate, he just said he couldn't deal with the stress of her situation. They left her out there, alone, like she was some stranger begging for change. Ellen's days blurred into survival, finding a dry spot to sleep, scrounging for food, keeping her head down in shelters. But one day, her phone buzzed with a number she didn't know. It was Patricia Hayes, a lawyer from Sterling and Company, sounding all formal, saying, "Ms. Carter, we need to meet about Eleanor Grayson's estate." Ellen thought it was a scam at first. $150 million? From Mrs. Grayson, the sweet old lady she used to read to at Rosewood? No way. But it was real. Mrs. Grayson had no kids of her own, and Ellen's kindness, those late-night chats, the way she'd hold her hand during tough days, meant more than Ellen ever realized. Mrs. Grayson left her everything, a fortune, a house, the works. The catch? Her distant cousins fought the will tooth and nail, dragging it through court for 2 years. But the judge upheld it, and just like that, Ellen went from homeless to heiress. Now, you'd think this is where the fairy tale kicks in, right? Not quite. See, Ellen wasn't the same woman anymore. The abandonment, the betrayal, had hardened something in her. She sat in that lawyer's office, staring at the papers, and realized her kids didn't deserve her forgiveness just because she had money now. Mrs. Grayson's will had a twist. $5 million was set aside for Ben, Clara, and Nate, but only if they showed genuine remorse within 90 days. Otherwise, it'd go to charity. Ellen wasn't holding her breath. Word of the inheritance spread like wildfire, and suddenly, her kids were blowing up her phone. Ben invited her to his fancy loft, all smiles, saying, "Mom, we've got space now." Clara sent flowers, begging her to come stay. Nate even wrote a song, called it Mother's Light, and played it over a shaky video call, tears in his eyes. Ellen saw right through it. Their love wasn't real. It was just dollar signs talking. She decided to test them, to see if they'd changed or if they were just chasing the cash. First up was Nate. They met at a diner downtown, the kind with sticky tables and coffee that tastes like regret. Nate leaned forward, all earnest, saying, "Mom, I'm so sorry. I was in a bad place, but I want you with me now." Ellen sipped her coffee, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "Nate, if I was still on the street, would you be here?" He froze, stammered something about timing, then offered her a job, get this, cleaning his studio for $12 an hour. Ellen laughed, sharp and cold, and said, You think I need your pocket change now? She walked out, leaving him with the check. Next came a family dinner at Ben's place. All sleek furniture and craft beer, like he was trying to impress her. Clara was there, fussing over Ellen like she was a fragile doll, and Ben kept talking about family unity. Ellen let them ramble, then dropped the bomb. I'm giving $100 million to charity soup kitchens, shelters, programs for people like me who got left behind. The room went silent. Clara's face crumpled, and Ben snapped. You're throwing it away? That's our legacy. Ellen leaned back, calm as anything, and said, my legacy is knowing my worth. You three? You showed me yours a long time ago. Nate tried to play the victim, saying, we were just kids. Mom, we didn't know better. Ellen shot back. You're 30, Nate. You knew. Clara was the last to try. She showed up at Ellen's new Placia modest house she'd bought with part of the inheritance, crying, saying she was sorry, that she'd been selfish, that she wanted her mom back. Ellen listened, her heart softening for a second, but then Clara let it slip. Can't you keep some of the money for us? We're family. Ellen's face hardened. Family doesn't wait for a paycheck to care, she said, and closed the door. The real drama came when Ben tried to play dirty. He filed a legal petition, claiming Ellen was mentally unfit to handle the fortune, saying her time on the streets must have broken her. Ellen showed up to court in a sharp blazer, her lawyer by her side, and stared Ben down. You think I'm broken? She said, voice steady. I survived you. The judge tossed the case, and Ben backed off, tail between his legs. But here's where it gets real. Nate came back, not with excuses, but with something different. He showed up at Ellen's house with a check for $20,000, his entire savings from gigging. I don't deserve your forgiveness, he said. But I want to start over, no strings. Ellen looked at him, saw something genuine in his eyes, and nodded. It wasn't a full fix, but it was a start. Ellen took that $100 million and poured it into the Eleanor Grayson Foundation, a nonprofit for homeless families and forgotten seniors. She runs it now, working alongside her old friend Maria from Rosewood, building shelters, job programs, places where people like her can find a hand up. Her kids? They're trying, slowly, to rebuild something real with her weekly calls, small gestures, no more talk of money. Ellen doesn't need their approval anymore. She's found her purpose, her people, her peace. 6 months later, Ellen's standing in front of the Grayson Center, a new shelter in Portland, watching families move in, kids laughing, parents crying with relief. She gets a letter from a girl named Sophie, whose grandma was at Rosewood. It says, you made her feel seen, Ms. Carter. Now you're doing it for us. Ellen tucks it in her pocket, walks through the park, the sunset hitting her face, and for the first time in years, she feels free not because of the money, but because she knows who she is. So what do you think? Were Ellen's kids just messed up people trying to survive, or did they cross a line that can't be uncrossed? Could you forgive someone who only came back when the money showed up? Drop a comment, share your decay, want to hear it. And if this story hit you, give it a share. Maybe it'll remind someone out there what family's really supposed to mean.